Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio on W4HC Radio, where you can learn to accelerate your body, mind, and spirit to reclaim the true potential that exists within you through cutting-edge wellness, tools, and modalities. Here's your host, Sara Banta.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers. I believe that your body does want to and is capable of rebuilding and healing itself, regardless of what chronic disease you may have. I'm here for you to answer your questions, bring you innovative and cutting-edge technologies and health solutions to empower you and your ability to reach your optimal state of health. Today, my guest will be talking about fitness as it relates to physical, mental, and spiritual health and intentions. And I know from personal experience that you really need a strong physical foundation to work on your mental growth, whether it's overcoming anxiety and depression, which so many of us are suffering from right now, or just optimizing your growth mindset. You need that strong physical foundation of health. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you get there. You can find many health articles and protocols at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I dive into an array of health conditions, their causes and symptoms, and how to address them naturally. I have spent thousands of dollars on my time and biohacking different supplements and diets that don't work so that you don't have to. And if you have any health issues you need help with, you can email me directly through the website. I personally read every one. So now to the good stuff. Sadie Lincoln is the co-founder and CEO of Barre3, a fitness company focused on teaching people to be balanced in body and empower from within. Starting in 2008 with a studio in Portland, Oregon, Barre3 has grown to include more than 140 franchise studios powered by female entrepreneurs, plus an online workout streaming subscriber based in more than 98 countries. When started as a workout, it has blossomed into a full-blown movement made up of millions of people focused on body positivity, being empowered, and redefining what success in fitness means. Sadie is on the Inc.'s Female Founder 100 list, has been featured on NPR's How I Build This, and speaks regularly on the topics of mindset or mindful leadership, the power of body wisdom, and movement to redefine what success in fitness really means. Welcome, Sadie. How are you this morning?
For having me.
I'm so excited to have you. And I mean, just as we were talking briefly this morning, you are in Portland, and this is such an unprecedented time. And some can get stuck with what's going on around us. But knowing you, I'm sure you've grown through it. And I want to get to that. But first, why don't we tell everybody a little bit about your background and your story?
Sure. Yeah. I live here in Portland, Oregon. I'm a mom. I too have 2 teenagers. Did you say you have 2 teens or
3?
3? Yeah. Wow. I have 2 teens and 2 rescue pups. Married. My husband is the co-founder of Barre3. We started this together in 2008. I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, spent a lot of time a little bit on the East Coast, California, kind of navigated my way back to Oregon to start and found Barre3, which was 12 years ago, hard to believe. And since then, we've built our company up, as you mentioned, to a bunch of studios. We have online classes that are really coming in handy these days. And yeah, just kind of, taking it day by day, breath by breath these days.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've always been into fitness, and it's been a journey, of course. Can you take us back to what fitness meant to you initially and where it took you as far as, I mean, I've been an athlete all my life, but even for me, it's gone through phases, and there's, you get in these spurts of growth, and what does it mean to you, and what did it start to mean to you? I mean, we grew up in such a body image focused era. I mean, we're about the same age. And so talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I fun fact, have never played a sport ever in my entire life. And I danced a little bit. I dabbled in dance as a girl, a young child, growing up. So I think when I first found fitness, probably in the early 80s in high school or whenever that was, middle school, high school, it was a way for me to express myself physically. And I felt really connected to specifically anything in a group with music. Just really felt so good because there was a sense of community and connection, and yet I could be like empowered in my body, and the music and the feeling of being with a group was infectious and really engaging. So I really loved group exercise right from the beginning. I mean, it really came on the scene in the early 80s with Jane Fonda and that whole era. My mom and I had her tapes, her, exercise tapes. We used to do Jane Fonda workouts together in our living room. And fast forward to my college years, when I ended up going to UCLA, I was quite lonely. I transferred in from community college, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have a strong network or connection. And in this giant, school, I discovered the John Wooden Center, which was the UCLA Rec Center, and ended up becoming a group exercise teacher there. And that really felt like home for me. It was such a positive, encouraging environment for me to have that be sort of my thing during college. And I ended up working at the rec center during college and running the instructor training program. I worked for a little stint with Kathy Smith, who is like a goddess of fitness in the 80s.
Right.
And, I really enjoyed it. And I think back then, part of the intrigue for sure for me was I was living in LA and I wanted to look good. I wanted to be ripped and skinny and attractive and sexy and worthy, and fitness promised to do that for me. And that was, something that was very interesting to me as someone who was a little bit lonely, didn't feel like I belonged, and kind of wanted to find my way. And so I think initially that really hooked me when it came to fitness.
And did you find success in that at that time in your life, when you were looking for that belongingness through looking good, being ripped, being skinny? Did you find that fulfilled you?
No. Short answer is no. Even when I was thinner, all the things, I wasn't. That was the heartache, is like, even when my body, I lost some weight, and maybe there was kind of an adrenaline rush at first, like, ooh, I did it, this sense of accomplishment and feeling good in my body. But that was short-lived, because ultimately that wasn't the answer.
Right.
And to fitting in, to belonging, to being happy, to being sexy, to being worthy, all those things. And my, quite frankly, my body ached. My body hurt. I wasn't treating it well. I was over exercising, under eating, just not taking care of myself well. And my inner critic was at an all-time high at that point, because I was never enough.
Right.
I never felt like I was enough. I was chasing an ideal of what enough meant in fitness. And that, to this day, is an image of someone else's after picture, someone else's transformation, or an imagery in the media of what like celebrity fitness looks like, or what, the people who are winning look like. And even in retrospect, after my experience, probably them looking at their pictures, they don't feel winning. Most of us don't. And it's impossible for any of us to achieve what they look like anyways, because it's them, and that time has passed. It's no longer an after picture, it's, before. So the whole kind of setup, what I've discovered over the years, that whole setup of come to fitness because you are the before picture, you're not enough. I mean, that's basically the footnote. But if you do this fitness in this order with this in this way, you will become enough. You will get to that ideal. And that sells because we all want that. It preys on our human basic need to belong and to be successful and loved. And then we fail because the after picture is imagined, it's in the future, and it's of someone else.
It's so funny, just to stop you for a second. Here you are trying to achieve a health goal through fitness, and your health is being sacrificed. I mean, you didn't feel well. You had pains and aches. And so there was this disconnect between health and fitness. And I love how you talk about how that relationship was broken, because it was broken for so many people. And it's the same thing with nutrition. If you just talk about I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Well, I'm going to do this to lose weight. Well, are you doing it in a healthy way? And are you sacrificing your health to lose weight and for diet? And it's the same thing. And it's this interrelationship that so many people can't connect the dots. And that's why we're failing. It's not connecting, because you have to go for health, and the fitness and the results are a byproduct, instead of going exactly, I want to look this certain way, and you go after that, you're going to fail, because you haven't changed what the belief is and why you're really doing it, genuinely speaking.
Yeah, if we could, and of course we all feel that way. It's universal to this day. Of course we do. There's no shame in feeling that way. We're conditioned to believe that that's exciting and important from the minute we're born. So we're taught, it's learned behavior. We are taught to not love ourselves. We are taught to not love our bodies as they are. And then we're conditioned, to feel a certain way about ourselves. And I think when we all sit back and really think about that, every single one of us knows, oh, that's so ridiculous. That is so crazy that I have been taught to not love my body, or to have a broken relationship with food. There's nothing wrong with food, right? Food is beautiful and a really important part of being human and celebrating life. And yet our relationship with food is broken. Same thing with fitness, being physical, being in our bodies, moving. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, when you study it in a lab, it really is good for you. It's really good for you. It's important. But what's broken is not that, it's our relationship with moving. Why we're moving is the part that we all need to practice unlearning, and practice moving because we want to feel alive and vibrant and, yes, challenged in our bodies, but in a way that's deeply personal and meaningful, versus copying and kind of fighting with our bodies to get to a finish line.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through years of over-exercising and just powering through the hurt and the pain. And now, I mean, there are mornings, I always work out in the morning. I need to get that mental space. It's a time for me to really set my tone for the day. And even before our talk this morning, I need to move my body to wake me up, wake my brain up, get my mindset. But this morning I was tired. I went on a little walk. I didn't do anything difficult or anything that was, super challenging, but it got my mind working. It made me feel good in my body. I stretched. I now am ready for the day. And it's totally, and tomorrow I might feel like running 6 miles. It's just I've done, this has been a journey for me, because I grew up in a family that you worked out every day. That was, and you did it, and you just did it, and you did it again. And then being an athlete in high school, I burned out. By my senior year, I was on the crew team and succeeded, and on the volleyball team. But by my senior year, I didn't row. I didn't do crew. I was burnt out. I was done. And that shouldn't be the way it is. I mean, it should be something that is it's feeding your soul. It's feeding who you are and just a part of your life in balance. And that's something that I want to talk to you about, is just the whole idea of balance, especially with what you do, not just as taking care of your fitness routine, but your mind, being a mom, being an entrepreneur. Your plate is full. And the idea of balance, and how, let's first go into Barre3 and what you model, your why it's so different, how you redefine fitness, and how it works for everybody, every type of body, every type of person with whatever pain they have. I mean, I just absolutely love your philosophy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes is from a friend and teacher. His name's Don DePani, and he said to me once, "Whatever it is you practice, you become." And we were talking about it in relationship. I was talking to him about my mom guilt, about not being as present as I wanted to be with my children. And he said, "Of course you're not. You're really good at being distracted. You practice being distracted around your children all the time, and you're really good at it." And he meant like multitasking. And, I'd come home and I'd pick him up from school, but then I was on my phone and, not really focusing on them. And that was a huge moment for me to realize that so many of us practice things unconsciously that we don't really want to become. And yet we get really good at those things.
Yeah.
And I think that really is, in retrospect, why we started Barre3, was to replace practicing exercise to get to the finish line, to get to the ideal. Because what you're practicing unconsciously when you take that mindset on with fitness is you're practicing not being enough. And you become really good at believing that you're not enough. That's what that whole model sets us up for. So in creating Barre3, we continuously do this. As 12 years later, we're always like, how can we practice becoming empowered from within and replace this idea that we need to be empowered by becoming something else in a fight with our bodies? How can we unlearn that conditioning and instead physically in our bodies, every time we work out, practice being alive and present and honest in our bodies as they are in that very moment? How can we practice presence? There is no presence in the before and after picture. Think about that. There's no presence in that. Right. And we all want to be present. Presence equals feeling, enjoying life, living as much as we can in these short little precious lives we get to live in. And so we've set out to that is like the cornerstone of our approach of how we teach. And an example of that is through the use of modifications. So we empower in a group people to modify every posture. So you mentioned this morning, you're like, you looked inside. I mean, you probably didn't do it this woo-woo, but it's kind of this step. It's like, What do we need today? What do I need today? I need a walk. Yesterday, maybe it was a 6-mile run, but today it's to walk. Like that's what your body needs. And that is true body wisdom. We are our own best teachers. We truly are. And that's also something we need to practice and learn. And so we really reinforce that within our studio walls and now virtually on Zoom live stream and in our digital classes is what do you need right now? And then modify to make that happen for yourself, even if everybody else is doing something different.
Right.
And when you do that, you are literally and figuratively practicing standing up for yourself and learning the conditioning that you need to be something other than who you are right now. So that's kind of one of the main sort of foundational things that we do at Barre3.
So I know circle time is really important to you. And it's funny when I heard you talking about this, My mom used to always, when we go to a restaurant, she would always say, "Can I have a circle table?" She'd always say, "I don't want a rectangular table. I want a circle table." And looking back on it, it was smart. And we were doing it mostly because she had hearing issues. But at the same time, she had hearing issues and she wanted to be able to hear everyone. She didn't want someone at the end of the table. And when you're in a circle, everyone's equal and everyone's being heard and everyone's facing each other in a roundabout way. And there's so much to that. So can you tell us about your circle time within your company?
Yeah, one of the other main points of Barre3 is to fight loneliness is a chronic illness. It's taking us down. There's a study done that loneliness is as much a predictor of our longevity as smoking is. It really, really changes our well-being and health. And it's a chronic issue. And as we sit here right now in quarantine, it's, off the charts. And being in circle, like your mom so thoughtfully and mother-wise, that's a mother-wise thing to do, to pull your children together in a circle or your family together in a circle. That's an intentional way to fight lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Community used to be very intuitive. For years and years and years as humans, if you think about it, we gathered around the fire. We were very much in circle all the time. We lived more in village where everybody took care of each other. There was more diversity of people together in circle, kind of coming together in community. And that is no longer. We've been pulled apart. And now, how we look at circle in our company is it's taking what once was intuitive into something that now needs to be intentional. Mm-hmm. And we do it in leadership. So right now on Zoom, for example, it's sort of natural, but not really. I mean, sometimes you can get on a Zoom call and just one person's talking the whole time and everybody's taking notes and listening. You won't see that at Barre3. It's really, there's someone moderating the conversation who kind of holds it. And then everybody has a voice. Everybody's seen and heard. So important for company culture, but also just for our well-being. One way we do that, if we have a big group on Zoom, is in the chat box, we'll just do what we call one word barometer, for example, where everyone just writes one word with where they're at right now, like stressed, happy, like silly, whatever your word is. So you at least can drop one word into the circle, because obviously if there's 50 people on a call, you can't all talk, but yeah. And I love talking about this outside of work too. I think a lot of us have book clubs or now happy hours with maybe high school friends or whatever it is. Just setting a little bit of an intention around making sure everybody's voice is heard really is a game changer.
I almost feel like during quarantine, because you have to be more intentional about sense of community and getting together, for some people it's been better because you're scheduling those Zoom happy hours or whatever it is, and it's a lot more intentional. And I have been to yoga classes and fitness classes where you walk in and it's a dark room and it's almost like it's just you. I mean, no one's saying hi to each other. No one's really interacting, and they don't have that sense of community. And that's what I love about what you're creating or what you have created, because especially for women, and especially when women judge women, men aren't judging the women. It's the women judging women in our culture, and how you're breaking that down. And it gets back to redefining fitness and what does fitness really mean. And the health aspect includes that women supporting women, because then you can start trusting each other. And there's someone that I was talking to the other day was talking about how trust and truth and love essentially come from the same root word. So without self-love, you'd have no self-trust. And what is your truth? And it made me really think, because I thought, no, I love myself. And do I trust myself? Well, if I trusted myself, there'd be no fear, because whether you believe in God or the universe or source, you should have no fear. It should be just trust in you and trust in your, God or the universe and what's happening. And that is your truth. And where do you take that? And how do you present yourself in this world? And it's something that I've really been trying to grow myself in. I thought I was already there, and it made me second guess of where I really was and where I want to be.
Yeah, I think a good test for me with that idea that's beautiful is forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's really easier to forgive if you have self-love and self-trust. And for me, that's a good one, because I feel like, yeah, I love myself. Yeah, I trust myself, but then I'm holding a grudge, you know? And I think that is a lifelong practice for all of us to truly trust and love. It's hard to do. And back to the yoga studio analogy, I think what's interesting, what we've found is that what happens in the studio room is important, but more important in those yoga classes, and certainly at Barre3, is the moments in between. So we've paid a lot of attention to the lobby area. We have childcare in almost every single studio. And because it's not for financial reasons, believe me, but it's part of community and connection. And we train our front desk and childcare people equally to our instructor, because we really believe that what happens in the lobby is just as important for our health and well-being as what happens in the room when you're exercising. Those moments of magic at the water cooler, connecting with another woman or another client matter. They really, really matter. And I think I'm an introvert. I would rather be in a dark yoga room. I would rather be at home. Like, that is my natural state. And it's been really interesting for me in this quarantine. Like, at first I was like, it felt like a deep breath and I loved it. And now I'm realizing how critical those little moments are. Like, just smiling at someone at a grocery store, like, no one can see us smile right now.
Oh, I know.
So hard. And I think it's important to say out loud, it is collectively taking us, like, it's hard for every single one of us, even those of us who are like, ooh, I kind of like this working in my pajamas all day thing. Like, we have to just figure out how to have some human connection in a new way. We miss it so much at Barre3. Our new innovation at Barre3. So we have all of our Zoom stream classes, and this is our new innovation. Like this, we go up to the camera and we're like, hi, as people are coming in, and we're talking to people up close, and like just this, like coming up to the camera feels like, oh my God,
I can feel it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to figure all that out, that true connection, that true human spirit that's been tested.
It's so true. The masks are taking away our biggest form of expression to each other. Our smiles you can see a little bit through the eyes. So this is funny, through all of quarantine, I've been to one restaurant. I've had 2 meals that I have not cooked. Food tasted amazing because I didn't cook it for, after just getting sick of my own cooking. But when we were at the restaurant, we had the nicest waitress, and we didn't have to wear a mask at the time, but she was wearing a mask, and you could tell she had the most sweet demeanor and smile, and she was smiling with her eyes, but I just wanted to pull that down so I could connect with her. And it's truly taking that personal relationship away, and it's something, and I don't think people realize that is also part of why we are so depressed and anxious. My clientele is more anxious and suffering from anxiety and depression and sleep issues more than ever, people that you would never expect. And even me, I mean, I feel it. And I then have to go back to trusting in me, trusting in God, trusting in my beliefs that everything's happening for a reason. We're all getting stronger. I focus on the positives. I tell my kids, they're not going back to school. Pivot, do something different. Turn on YouTube, start listening to podcasts about interests that you have, start formulating ideas about business. Use this special time. I don't know what's going to happen. We can't control it. So what can we control? Everyone's got a certain amount of hours in the day. Make sure you're mentally healthy, move your body every day, feed your body right every day, and just try to put one foot in front of the other and stay accountable to each other and support each other. And I mean, obviously we have a lot more family time during this time, so that's been a positive, but it is hard. And I mean, you've got, is your daughter 15 or 16 now?
She's 16 and my son is 14.
Yeah. And my daughter's just turned 16. It is, can you imagine going through this as a 16-year-old girl, through all of the other issues that they're dealing with in general? It's not easy. And I want to know how you're balancing everything and how you've pivoted, because being an entrepreneur, that's your job. That's your job, is to grow with the changing times. And the people that are quote unquote successful through times like these are the ones that can adapt and change. And how you have done that with your personal life and also with the business, which you touched on a little bit, but I know community, as you mentioned, is so important to you. How has that changed?
Well, it keeps changing. Never a dull moment. I think the lesson has been, like the big lesson has been to let go and truly be present and honor presence. And even if that means, feel presence. So for me, to be balanced, I need to first be really in touch with how I feel and without shame. And so many days lately, it's been sad. Like I feel sad. I'm like I just feel sad and not let that, I don't want to wallow in the sadness, but I also don't want to push it away, because if we push it away, that's when we get unhealthy. I really think it's important to feel our feelings right now. So that's one. Just from an emotional state, is feel the feelings, feel all the way into them, and then ask myself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And for me, it's been certainty and structure. I love it. My friend Jonathan Fields, he has a podcast called The Good Life Project. He calls them certainty anchors, where you anchor yourself in things you know to be true right now, because so much is uncertain. And he's like, just making my morning coffee every morning the same way is a certainty anchor. And just like that helps me pull me out of sadness a little bit, is having certainty. And like Bruce Edwards, who's our COO of Barre3, he makes sure we have meeting, he sets up meetings 8 a.m. and we're all there and we're certain we're going to be there, right? It's those little moments now that when the mailman comes, and the dogs bark, like at that certain hour, it's like a certainty anchor. And I think all of us, whether it's personal or professional, I know it's true for all of us at Barre3, is having as much structure as possible is really important right now.
Yeah.
Knowing that these are the hours I'm going to do this, these are the hours I'm going to do that, and really stay true to that. It helps us all feel productive. We turned into a virtual studio overnight. We closed every single studio, and we empowered all of our instructors company-wide to teach on camera. So we let go of the kind of precious premium idea that you're in this beautiful boutique studio or a beautiful production set for our online classes, which we're pumping out like crazy right now, because people are really loving them. But we're all doing live stream classes in our living rooms with like dog hair on our yoga pants and husbands coming in and doors slamming, and it's just kind of chaotic, and that's okay. We're letting go of control that way, and just being honest.
And I'm sure your viewers are appreciating the honesty through that, and that you're a real person, and you've got dog hair in your pants, and you have a husband and a dog that doesn't know how to not bark during a class. Right.
Yeah.
So with that change, can you walk us through how that happened? I mean, March comes and you're shut down. So how did you quickly pivot to changing the business model?
Well, at first it was, we just couldn't believe it. We were all stunned, right? And the fact it's so magnified that every business was going through this, right? Are we done? Are we finished? That was the question, and we decided, no, we said out loud, like within 24 hours, we said out loud, we are not closed. We're opening a virtual studio. Mm-hmm. We're open. And it was interesting. Even before we did that, our clients continued to support us so much. And I think that's important for all of us consumers to know that if you have the means right now, support your local businesses that you have an emotional connection with. Because there is a woman behind that business, or a person, or, whoever it is, there is a human and family behind that business. And I think it's easy to just look at a big brand and think it's going to be fine. But in our particular case, we're franchised. So every single one of our owners is our investor, and it happens to be 100% female led. Every single one of those women invested her life savings and all her resources into this business, right? And she is working her tail off right now to make it happen, and be as attentive and helpful as she can to help her community heal and be healthy right now. And it's been beautiful to see our community really come out and help us and get new clients in this craziness right now. And yeah, so that's, we asked ourselves, the other thing we keep saying over and over again is, anytime we're making like a decision that doesn't feel right, we always ask ourselves, what are we afraid of? Mm-hmm. Like, what are we really afraid of right now? And usually it's like, I don't need to be afraid of that. Like, let's do it. Let's try, let's fail, and then rebound, learn, and pick ourselves back up again.
What amazes me about you is you've talked about when you grew up in a family that celebrated mediocrity. And that's not what I grew up in. I grew up in, you better get going and be successful. Like that's, at least that's what I felt growing up.
Yeah.
So what is it in you that wanted you to succeed, wanted you to be an entrepreneur, took you from, it's obviously innate, where did that come from?
Well, I'm going to therapy, so I'm really digging into that right now. And therapy, by the way, is a gift.
Yes.
A gift. Beyond. My life has been completely changed through therapy.
Amazing.
But the long story is, the short story is, I think I was given the tools as a young child and told, like modeled, that it's really important to always look inside first, and to honor your inner world more than the outer world. Mm-hmm. And my upbringing was extreme that way. It was inner, and not a lot of structure to help me as a young girl succeed. And so while I was equipped with this inner knowing, which is a gift because we're conditioned out of inner knowing, while I was equipped with that, I wasn't given the tools I needed to really achieve earlier in my childhood and school, for example. So I had low self-esteem when it came to external measures of success. So I think that fueled my fire to I'm going to succeed in the external world because I wasn't given those tools. Yeah. As much as I think most kids need. We all need structure. And so this idea of looking inside, what do I need right now, right? That whole idea combined with how am I going to show up in the world and succeed, was the combination that continues to fuel me to grow Barre3. And I think, like anything, it's a balance. Living in this world as a hippie kid that was all about internal world only felt really odd, because we're in a world of consumerism and achievement and winning the race. And I always felt left behind that way. But then when you look at the world, it's so imbalanced that way also. Like, winning the race really doesn't matter. If you talk to like extreme athletes, the journey that's important to them is the training, the resilience. The ones that actually do win the race are the ones that don't focus on that. They focus on, how am I going to get back up after I lost the race? You know, those are the people that truly win. And I think that, you know, that's always intrigued me and certainly fueled my fire to be successful in the world as it is today.
It's interesting. You say, talk about elite athletes. I've heard Deion Sanders say, I just won the Super Bowl. Now I'm lonely. This is it. Right. And
that's a theme. Once you get there, you're like, wait, this is
now what?
Yeah.
I mean, if we talk about fitness goals, okay, I got to that number on the scale. Now that's it. I don't feel well. My body hurts. I'm hungry. And then now what? And
tomorrow the scale changes.
Right.
It's not going to stay the same. Our bodies are fluid.
Right. And I love, it's so interesting to me hearing from you and where you came from, because for me growing up, it was all about external expectations. And through my life over the last 10 years, I've had to dig deep and come from within and really grow that trust of myself and that truth and the self-love, and fuel that. And I do my business. I do what we're doing today because I truly want to help people, and it's not for the money. And then when I was talking to the lady who was talking about truth and love and trust, she says, if you have self-love, the money will come. You know, that wealth and health are intertwined. But if you're going after the wealth for the wrong reasons, you're not going to get there. And it's just something that I'm trying to teach my kids. And when we talked about therapy, the kids the other night said, well, have you been through therapy? And I said, oh yeah, you have to. And there's nothing wrong with it. And therapy just is a way to really get in tune and grow in the areas that you need help reaching that you haven't been able to do on your own. And so I wanted to make sure that they knew that there's no shame and no, barriers to entry when it comes to therapy, because I feel like growing up, at least in my family, it was not something you wanted to attach yourself to. Whereas I think now
right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't attach that at all. I mean, the amount of life coaches and health coaches and therapists that are out there, I actually am telling my son that's what he needs to be doing because he's so good at it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Well, I know you have done so much growth yourself, and you have a growth mindset. And like me, I'm always trying to learn. What are you working on now? Like, what is it that you are focused on? You mentioned therapy, but what are you really focused on right now as far as growing inside of you and the balance of everything that you're doing? Because the balance of life for you is even on top of what everyone else, because you're managing a marriage, managing children, you're a teacher, you're a cook, you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, but you also are responsible for all of these women that are looking up to you that are in charge of their franchises. Mm-hmm. So how are you balancing that and taking on that that extra level of stress?
I would say I'm working the most on not being the one that people need to feel whole, to succeed. Like letting go of that kind of entanglement in relationships, whether it be friends or colleagues or franchisees, because ultimately that's not in service to them. Mm-hmm. And it's also not possible. Like, I think for a while there, I did imagine that I could help people that way or be that person for people. And it wasn't good for me because, and I think a lot of women fall into this trap. Like, the more I help other people, the more important I'll be. And it's my job. It's my job to make sure everybody's okay. And so the work I've been doing is to just make sure I'm okay, and then to let go and trust everybody else is okay too. And everybody else has the tools they need to do that as well. And in leadership right now, that's critical. Because if I took on everything that's going on right now, I wouldn't be able to talk to you right now, right? I'd be so underwater. And it's been so beautiful to watch our owners, my investors, and our leadership team just rise to the occasion. Every single one of them in their own ways is truly like becoming their best version of themselves as a leader. And that doesn't mean that they're always on the A game like me. It means that you're having rough goes, but then we're overcoming that over and over again. And I know this whole epidemic has magnified my weaknesses or where I need to grow. And in a way, that's a gift because I'm able to see it more clear and see where I need to work on myself so that I can be a stronger, more confident leader, and also just take care of myself a little better right now.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on. This time has really brought out the weaknesses in all of us and the things that we need to work on. And you grow through those challenges. If life was easy and through no challenges, you wouldn't grow. And every time something hard happens, whether it's with one of my kids or husband or myself, I always say, thank you, world or universe and God, for giving me this, and what lesson's going to come out of it. Mm-hmm. What am I going to learn? And so I never see it as a negative. I always see, okay, thank you. What am I going to grow out of this? But I'm so bummed because we're almost out of time. So before we stop, I want to make sure you tell everyone where they can find you and your amazing classes. Definitely during this time, so uplifting, physically, mentally, spiritually. Everyone needs this, and it is just so important. So please help everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, I guess I should mention what Barre3 is.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's a full body balanced workout, and we combine strength conditioning, cardio, and mindfulness. We have an attention to modifications. We're very much about body positivity and inclusivity, and it's challenging just enough, but definitely challenging. I just did a workout the other day. I have never been more sore. Mm-hmm. And I was telling my friend that, kind of a new friend, and in the neighborhood, and I'm like, I am so sore. She's like, oh my gosh, what'd you do? And I said, Barre3, my own workout. And I'm so sore, the best possible way. So it's Barre3.com is our website. We have a 15-day free trials with our online workouts, our digital workouts, which we're filming like crazy, specifically with the lens of all of us in quarantine. And then you can find us. We have 140 studios online as well, doing live stream classes, and join our fun Zoom live stream classes there. And of course, Instagram. I'm Sadie Lincoln, Barre3. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I so appreciate you coming today. I know you're super busy and everything, but I feel like you are such a gift to this world and what you've created. And I know it's just going to continue to succeed, especially through this time. People need it more than ever. So thank you for joining me. And everybody, thank you for joining us both today. If I can help you with your health issues, contact me directly through the website, Sara at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you you. I know sometimes it's hard to know where to start. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram under Accelerated Health Products and my YouTube channel under Accelerated Health Radio. You can also find this episode and all my episodes on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, or whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. I also do Accelerated Health Bites, where I do short informational videos on health topics and solutions that you ask me about. So if you have a condition or a topic you want me to address, let me know. And if you liked what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and share this with a few of your friends who may need my help or Sadie's. And as you share my channel, it helps me help more people like you bring more cutting edge guests to the show. Don't miss next week's interview with Dr. Anna Kabeka, all about hormones and her twist on the ketogenic diet. And you can send me questions and topics you'd love to hear. You can also find any of the supplements I have and the videos on my website, acceleratedhealthproducts.com. You can use coupon W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide. Thanks for joining us here on Accelerated Health Radio, and have a great week.